Operators are standing by.
Welcome to Chasing Prophecy Radio, where we discuss the unidentified, the unexplainable, paranormal, conspiracies, and much more. Starring your hosts and co-hosts, Jenny Nicasio, Sean Kelly, Trish Lowe, and Jason Sledgehammer Ryan Petro. Brought to you by UPRN Network. Now for your host, Jenny Nicasio.
Good evening and welcome to Chasing Prophecy on 105.3 New Orleans FM. Did I say that? I don't know if I did or not. Who knows? I could have. In New Orleans, we are live and we are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania tonight. We go around all over the place when we broadcast, but tonight we were in Pittsburgh, as you can see in this beautiful backdrop I have. And I'm here with my supersonic co-host, Sean Kelly, Jason I. Petro, and Trish Mo. I didn't have my teleprompter, so I'm doing this myself tonight.
Co-host?
Co-host. Well, yeah, co-host. Yeah, you're co-host, right?
Yeah, we're co-hosts. Yeah.
Happy Torture Tuesday.
Yeah, this is a Torture Tuesday one coming up.
The gremlins already struck.
Yeah.
I hope not. Well, it's a little late tonight. We got a late start because Mike was going over, but that's okay. We're okay with that. That's all right. I'm ready for bed right now, so we better set my timer. Like I said before, I have 2 caffeinated drinks waiting for me to keep me a busy day after the holidays. Did you guys have a great Thanksgiving?
That was good. It was good. Nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
You didn't burn the turkey, Trish?
I actually didn't have to cook. I had there was a wedding in my family on Saturday that I planned and decorated and did the photography and everything for. So I had this year off on Thanksgiving.
There you go.
So
that's good. It was nice to not have
Jason,
to cook.
how's your new truck coming along?
I just brought it home a couple hours ago. So
and Jason's in his new studio.
Yeah, that's his new studio.
That's my new studio behind me, Augie.
Yeah,
Augie wanted to know where I'm at. I rebuilt the studio, so this is it.
Pretty cool.
We'll start getting back into recording stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone's
with the
in sunglasses and the hair up like this and shit.
Yeah, he's a sexy mug. Man, Sean, you should do that to your hair. Put some gel up and spike
What's
it up.
What's left of it? He doesn't have enough.
Get a haircut.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Haircut, that'll take you about 2 seconds.
It's too long now.
Oh.
Just take some beard trimmers and trim it.
Let Jason do it.
Yeah, come on over. I'll do it for you. Free of charge.
Free of
charge.
It,
I promise.
Yeah. Well, we have an exciting evening tonight. We got some topics to talk about, and we got a guest that comes on it, which is sponsored by Carnation on our second hour. We have John Moore, and we'll introduce him to about 10 o'clock hour, the bewitching hour. Gary said, use an air in your shampoo. Well, that's not nice.
That burned my head. That's
That's rude.
You'll be just fine.
That's rude. That's very rude. But anyway.
Yeah, it is.
No, yeah. Tell him, Sean.
Yeah, it's rude, Gary.
Hey, the bald look is what's in now.
Yeah, mostly. It is. And you know what else is in? Dad bods. You know that.
What?
Well, that's because it's wintertime.
Dad bods.
Yeah, dad bods are in, man.
Hey, yeah, because it's winter. Dad bods are in every
what do you think about the dad bod? Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
I have no. I've been in every phase physically in my life myself, so I don't really judge people's,
as long as they have a sexy heart. That's all that matters.
And keep you warm at night, right?
Yeah, that's all that matters.
And mind.
Exactly. Good conversation is a plus.
Although I was just thinking about this earlier, the guy I'm dating, bless him. I have a lot of respect for guys who date psychics and witches because they just don't know what they're getting into. So,
that's the same with Italian women.
Because it was this last week with the full moon and the lunar eclipse and the new moon, we always talk about different energies and how they affect us and stuff. So we'll just be, randomly somewhere, and I'll start channeling something, or like
Cool.
a car accident or death, or
That keeps the relationship interesting. It keeps the fire lit too. You always bring in something, channeling in something.
God only knows what you're channeling. Huh?
Yeah,
well, yeah,
definitely.
that's what I was going to say. Years ago in the past, before I protected myself against such, I did have a few men leave me because they, saw a demon or something. Like, it's no big deal. But
now they saw a demon, or you saw a demon?
Well, we both did, but it was in my presence. So
okay, so you were dating a witch,
like they
or
would
a psychic?
date me. No. It was because of me, because I attract that, and
you attract demons now.
This was years ago, before I
cleanse yourself,
protect myself from that. Yes. And so, yes, many of them that would start, going to church the next day, religious.
Oh yeah.
At least you brought them back to God, huh?
Yeah, break out the holy water.
Yeah.
If
Bring
I
back
was
I'm psychic, so I mean, it's really hard to get away with anything.
Yeah,
it really is.
We need to be a psychic these days, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. The latest one that I found very interesting, and because I like the stars and the moon and planets, is that NASA, they're en route to try to, I guess, intercept or blow up as an asteroid that's coming towards Earth. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Hasn't that been going on for like the last 20 years?
Yeah, you're right. Jason.
This particular one, I don't know. I know that NASA launched a double asteroid. What is it? Redirection test. It's called DART, D-A-R-T.
Okay.
I'm gonna read this little article. Mission on SpaceX Falcon 9 from Vandenberg Air Force. Am I saying that right, Sean? Base in California on November 24th. I do believe they're still out there. I know I just saw a Google. Oh, who knows if it was an old one, but they said something about Monday morning that they're doing this. I don't know if they actually blew. Did they blow up any?
No.
I said they didn't blow anything yet.
They're supposed to do that?
Well, I'm looking at this article that was just released today. I don't know this particular one.
Well, and the only reason I ask is because I had a dream last night. I woke up this morning really early, like 5-6 o'clock, about a hawk or a falcon that was injured and like the Earth.
Oh, I don't know about that. All I know is that they said that the asteroid doesn't pose a danger. Now, how would they?
How the hell do they know that shit?
Well, I don't know, because they said that the probe will smash into. This is called Demorph.
Was it from a credible website?
Yes, it's all over the internet, and there's actually a live YouTube video for NASA. They said it's a 12-hour orbit. This probe will smash into. They're calling this asteroid Dimorphos, Dimorphos, increasing the time of its 12-hour orbit between 73 seconds and 10 minutes. Thus, DART, D-A-R-T, will practice saving the world from an asteroid collision like the one that ended the dinosaurs.
So Gary in the comments here says they're going to blow up some space junk from when Russia blew up an old satellite that's in the way of the space station.
Yes.
And they're doing this at the same time?
I have no idea.
Maybe, you know what? Think about it, right? If Gary is right about that, sure, we're going to go out and tell shoot down asteroids, but you know what? Nah, we're not doing that. We're doing something else. They lie to us all the time, so why would they lie about that now?
Yeah, I can remember as far back as I can remember, talk about landing on asteroids or blowing them up to miss the Earth, and I don't know.
Well, that movie, it wasn't Armageddon. That's what they were doing. They were trying to blow up
Bruce Willis.
No, Trish, tell us a little bit about this UFOs in Kansas, this article.
Well, I just saw it earlier today. I saw this. And it said this came originally from Wichita. But it was a report that an unclassified report from the government, and they just discussed in detail 144 different sightings. And now I don't know if that's total in the U.S. or if that was specifically over Kansas and Midwest. But I guess they're trying to, come up with different and analyze and come up with the statistics of how many planets might be in the universe or galaxies, things like that. So, but at least they're admitting it now. So
they're just pulling the wool over our eyes. That's all they're doing. They're lying. They're lying.
Are there more witches in Wichita than other places?
How long do you have to wait to make that up, dude?
I just got that sent to me. I had to talk about it.
Well, it's funny because all of Wichita, when you drive through there, they have that big airport, or not airport. They manufacture airplanes, but they have the big airport there as well, and it's called Spirit Airlines. And I always think that's funny because I'm like, that's clever.
Mm-hmm. So how many witches are out in Wichita?
I don't know.
Riding the Spirit airplane.
That's in the southern part of the state. So I don't go there often.
What do you think, Jenny? What's your conclusion?
Jenny, you're muted. You muted yourself. Jenny, you muted yourself. Hello, Jenny.
Hello, Jenny.
Hello.
Oh. Okay.
I guess she unplugged herself or something. No, hit the mute button on your computer. It says you're muted. Down in the corner.
Down.
Okay. I was looking.
Oh, hallelujah.
I was looking for I found a video. Let me see if I can pull it up. I found UFOs in Kansas. It was five days ago. Let me see if I can bring this one up. But after I get to these stupid ads that they have. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, I found something that we can watch about go ahead.
Oh, well, there's a group that I've been wanting to meet up with near here and near Kansas City, who actually supposedly make contact with extraterrestrials and such. So that's interesting.
Bring them on.
Let me see if I can pull this up now. Are you ready?
Yep.
Wish I can figure out. I'll have to figure out how to make this big.
Are they coming to Kansas? Some say yes.
Well, Zach Martin spoke to a couple Kansans who say they have seen UFOs, and he took their thoughts and videos to an expert. That's new at 10 tonight. Zach?
Jeff, Emily, since June, when the government released its report of 144 cases of unidentified aerial phenomena, the sightings of these UAPs, they're going up everywhere.
If the Department of Defense is willing to confirm that happened, I think perhaps people see it as an avenue towards, well, maybe my story is true too.
Nick Adanasio works at a space museum, but in his free time, he's a UFO enthusiast.
We don't know how many galaxies there are in our entire universe. And so if each one of those has hundreds of billions of stars, and each one of those stars might host a couple of planets, there's so much that could be out there.
Earlier this week, KSN was sent this video from viewer Jackie Espinoza showing a weird object flying through the sky.
And it was right outside my house. And we were driving home and my husband was like, "What is that?"
After doing some research, Espinoza says she found out it wasn't a UFO, but something she was always more fearful of than a UFO, an asteroid.
Felt completely justified in my fear. I've always thought that it was irrational up until this point.
Last May, around the time of a lunar eclipse, assistant kitchen manager at Norton's Brewing, Farley Charwell, says he saw this object
I'm on there too long, guys.
Sky.
And then when I zoomed in, I was like, oh, it's probably a helicopter. And I zoomed in, and it was like a weird...
What if it's just comets?
Looking thing. I don't know how to explain it. Like, has like...
When's Haley's comet come back around?
Charwell says no one has been able to convince him yet that it's something other than a UFO.
There you go.
For our viewers and others that think they've
seen
Yay, thank you. Bye.
Hello, Boots.
There was a meteor shower, wasn't there, like a week or two ago during the eclipse?
Yeah, I think there was. Hi, Boots.
It's probably just a matter of time before, we start getting just pummeled with asteroids from the asteroid belt, just stuff flying off and finding its way to the Earth.
Yeah.
I believe they try to intercept them all the time, way bigger than we even realize exist, just so it doesn't cause mass panic,
Well, you see a flying object coming down on your ass, you're dead. So
right.
Would you rather get smashed, like have it smash you, or would you rather it hit the ocean and then you drown when the wave comes in?
Ooh.
Hey, Doreen said Halley's Comet comes back in 2061.
Well, I'll be dead.
Me too.
Yeah, you will. I probably will be too.
Well, Gary said, whatever happened to the conspiracy theories with Jesse Ventura? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him. Any of you guys have any thoughts on that, Jason?
I'm not a fan of Jesse Ventura.
He was a wrestler.
Who are you a fan of?
You.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
You walked right into that one, honey. Yeah, you did. And Trish and Jason.
Trish, okay. Yeah, so, okay.
4 radio people walk into a bar.
Okay, let's move on to the woman who was freaked out. A woman freaked out after capturing a photo of a chinless ghost at the scene of Asteroid. Police and said this is in the UK. Now, I'm going to bring this picture up.
Please
I don't know. To me, she says, I'll read a little bit of the article before I show it to you. Lisa Todd took a spooky photo on November 15th at about 3:40 p.m. outside the Bridget Gate Council office. This is like we're talking in the UK, okay? And there was like I guess there was some kind of altercation with a police officer, and she didn't see, when she took the picture, she did not see this apparition until after she was home, and it totally freaked her out. To me, it does look like a Gothic, maybe a priest or some kind of a monk. She said that right near the there used to be a what did she say? A Trinity Church. It's called Trinity Church, which was built in 1863 for the Reverend William Robinson, known as the poet preacher. And I bet you could actually look him up on the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to let Trish go first and see what are your thoughts on this. But let me pull it up. I'm getting
Why is it got to be chinless?
Well, she said she didn't see a chin. So I'm going to see if I can bring it up. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Let's see because you can't even see it. Where the heck did it go? Oh, let me bring it up more. Okay, where is this? Okay, where is the article? Woman, okay. No, I don't know if you can. Let me see if there's a smaller picture. Probably the smaller picture, you could probably see it better. Let me see. Now, do you see this thing right here?
Yep.
This was not in the picture. When she took the picture, she did not see this with her naked eye. This is after. And she swears up and down that it was not there. But if you look at it, it looks pretty darn, that it looks like it could be something from, let me see if I can bring this up. I don't think I can make it any bigger. Let me see if I can. No, do you see the?
Yeah.
I see a chin. So
I see a chin too. I just think the girl was nervous about when she saw that picture. But
she said it wasn't enhancement. She said she did not enhance it in any way.
Well, let me ask you this question, Jen. Would you be freaked out if you took a picture and saw that dude standing there?
Hell yeah. But she didn't see it. Yeah. So does it look like it could be like a priest or like a
Well,
preacher?
first off, what is the vehicle? Is that like
looks like a truck.
Looks like a van with something because you got
There's
the
the
guy
police
standing on the
officer
left.
right here, I think. This is the police officer.
It's like where they put prisoners in. I think it's death, to be honest with you. That looks like death. Like this guy is waiting for that prisoner to get out so he can take his life. And I'm not messing around here. That's the first thing I got when I picked up.
Trish, what do you think? What do you got?
I don't think it's I don't. All I keep getting from that is it's not a real photo, or it's not something's not.
You think it's fake?
You think it's a fake one?
Scroll back up a little bit.
Now I'm not going by the picture itself because I can't see very well as far as the pixels or anything like that. I'm not going by a scientific method, but that's
I'm not really sure.
Intuitively, that's what I get from that.
I want to see what else this article says that what could have been.
Well, the daily news over in the United Kingdom is like our Sun magazine here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, she said she didn't think it was. She's not into the paranormal when she saw it, but the thing is, it's so close to that church.
Yeah.
So it could be.
How about people in our audience? What do y'all think it is?
Yeah, what's everybody else out there think?
Yeah, come on, Doreen.
Scroll up to the other picture, not that one so much. Because is it just me, or does that picture just like look weird, like the quality of the photo?
That's your department, brother. I don't know. To be honest with you.
Here's a bigger. Okay, that's the whole top.
Wait a minute. Stop right there. Right there. Right there. Stop.
Yeah, like look at the figure. The figure, like the way it's just like overlaid in front of the vehicle there. It's something's just not adding up.
I see what you're getting at.
Like there's just something odd about this.
Yeah.
You know, because like look at the door. Like they're on the side. Their lower half of the body's on the side of the door, but the upper half of the body's like in front of it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and the door's distorted.
Yeah, this is a
I get a very different feeling, you know, when I read pictures, and there's actually spirits in them. It's a very different. I don't get that from this one. I get.
Does it have feet? Go back up. I missed it.
It
didn't have feet.
No, it didn't have feet. No, yeah. So I don't know. I kind of think it is a spirit because of the fact that it's right next to that church, and there was a preacher dude that was called a poet. I'm probably.
But you know, there's apps that can put that picture right at the.
Okay.
And
see,
that's
the problem with technology today. Is so many. There's a lot of people out there that just want to, you know, like get famous quick or something, or have like something that makes the news. But, you know, that over there, that being like ours, like you said, Sun magazine over here, which is, you know, fake news, obviously, but the quality of that picture is just too off, you know.
But there's also, you know, I always think about it when it comes to religious aspects. Unfortunately, there are some even religious people that try to fake pictures and things like that, not necessarily with bad intention, but trying to get others to believe and things like that. I've come across that a lot. I'm not saying that specific one, but just to keep in mind. And
yeah,
have you guys ever heard of the Saatchi poltergeist in the UK? It's called
but
Saatchi.
I know what a poltergeist is.
Well, there's a haunting, a creepy Hillfoot's haunting is supposed to be one of the, you know, major hauntings in the UK, and it's called the Saatchi poltergeist. Well, actually, it's in Scotland, Saatchi, Suchie, Saatchi. Is that how you say that? But it's a really noisy ghost that kind of it took place in November of 1960, and it was centered around 11-year-old girl, Virginia Campbell. Okay. And apparently this family was terrorized. And I'm going to pull up I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's real popular. There's a house. The family was tormented by this poltergeist on the property of Park Crescent, Saatchi. So I guess that's a town in the UK, in Scotland. So it's something maybe you guys could take a vacation in. But
I was stationed.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, Holylock.
And apparently this was
we'll take the Spirit Airlines over.
They are okay.
We'll fly to our death in the spirits.
Well, I'm going to show you this.
I told you the Pope doesn't fly over parts of Kansas. I mean,
well, This is the house. I don't know if you can see the house,
Mhm.
and that's the house that was terrorizing the family. And they came to the conclusion that the house was haunted on the basis that they turned to a local victor, like I said, like a reverend by the name of Reverend T.W. Ludd. Ludd attended the family home but could not offer little supports. They didn't only prayers. And a bizarre twist to the case, the poltergeist effect did not contain just themselves to the family home. Incredibly, they traveled with Virginia to school. So they haunted the poltergeist, terrorized the local school. That's a pretty school. That's a house or is that the school?
That's
Beautiful. Yeah,
well,
that's.
That makes sense if they were following the person. You know, if the
Yeah.
activities were coming from her, even then it would follow her to school or wherever she went.
Well, we had an investigation a long time ago. It was up there in Johnstown or Somerset, PA, where a woman, a family was dealing with poltergeist activity. And come to find out, every time that the poltergeist activity happened, her niece would come over for the weekend and all hell would break loose. And her niece was 12 or 13 years old at the time. But once the niece left, okay, everything was calm, quiet, and cool. So, you know, I'm not being weird when I say this, but at that age, and if this girl was around that age too, you know, her hormones are changing.
Yeah, this is what you said before. It goes back to the hormones.
Yes, it does, because all the energy that that girl is releasing is attracting everything to them. But, you know, it looks like that she's at that age where the poltergeist was happening, and we're like Trish just said, wherever she goes, that thing's going with her.
Yeah. What about Jason? What do you think about that?
I think that Buck says nothing is scarier than a 13-year-old girl.
That's true. I was crazy when I was 13. I swear I was.
Nowadays, man, they're nuts.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Well, dealing with
that
the poltergeist that we had here in the house, they're just something else. It's not like your normal spirit or ghost that most people encounter. You know, I'd never in a million years thought that we'd be dealing with something of that nature, but it is completely different, and it feeds off of everything.
Yes.
Like especially
and it's energy, you know, everything's energy. So whether negative or positive, and that will, the more negative energy, the more positive, whatever you feed to it is what it becomes. So it's the same with me, you know, if I didn't know how to work with energy years ago. And if I got really emotional or upset, if I would get into an argument, you know, with my family members or something, I would blow light bulbs and, you know, like trip breakers and stuff. So it's one of those things.
There's another one on the panel that does that.
Right.
There's another article I wanted to bring up. Scott's ghost hunter wants to reunite a soldier's Bible with a family after it mysteriously appeared in her home. Now, apparently, this paranormal family, they have up in the attic. Apparently, they had a lot of activity. They'd go up the attic, they used the attic, and all of a sudden, it mysteriously appeared. So I don't understand. Like,
you know, what's weird is when it comes to the paranormal and creepy stuff, it's either attics or basements.
Yeah.
But why would it?
How could it like never like the first floor or the second floor? It's always the attic or the basement. Or did movies just get us into believing that the basement's the scary place?
Well,
probably.
I think both of those places are often so. I have two theories about this. One, a lot of rituals are done in basements because it's closer to the earth, and it's surrounded by earth. So in witchcraft or, you know, a lot of occult factors into that, you're closer to that element. Now, as far as the attic goes, there's a lot of people store things in the attic. Or hide things, especially in older houses and such, you know, in houses I've lived in, I've found things in the walls in the attic and, you know, stuff like that. So kids play there, hide stuff. I think a lot of the location of those activities, I guess, has a lot to do with it.
Wasn't that kind of strange, Sean, that all of a sudden they've been going into this attic apparently a lot. They store a lot of stuff, items up there. It's not something that they would have missed, and all of a sudden it shows up.
Well,
was it in the attic, or where was it? Somewhere else in the house?
You know what? It was, and this is from my experience. I mean, we've been on investigations where something pops up that nobody knows why it popped up or where it came from. But here's my theory behind that whole story. Okay, that if it was the Bible, but it also had the soldier, he was doing some writing in it, and maybe he trusts this paranormal couple with the Bible. Okay, so he can move on, because it's possible that Bible was holding him to earth, So he said, I had enough of this. So boom, the spirit put it there. That's the way I look at it.
That's possible, but he would like to have this. He wants to reunite it with the family that this Bible belonged to. Now that's going to be something that's going to be hard to do.
Right.
To do that, but that's their goal. This paranormal group's goal is to do that. Apparently,
which is a good thing to do, which I think would be nice. But you know what? It's all about the ghost. It's all about him. Even if they don't get to the family, he wanted to leave. And he gave him the book.
Apparently, this soldier's his name was Robert Litterick, and he was a soldier. His ID number was, and the date it was 19th. What was that? January 19th, 1944. And he was a prisoner of war camps in Germany during World War II. So that's pretty interesting. That's a whole story right there.
Yep.
That would be great if they could actually reunite this Bible to the family of this person. But we're leaving. I see our guest is in the green room. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. I'm just going to do, if I can find my notes. Oh no, I can't find my notes, guys. Shoot,
you better find them.
Yeah, we don't want to do that again.
Yeah, open your eyes.
Yeah. Well, we're our guests tonight, and I hope I don't mess this up because I don't know the proper term for it. But John Moore, we have him as a guest for our second hour, which is sponsored by Carnation. Thank you so much, Carnation, for sponsoring the second hour. I used their evaporated milk for my Thanksgiving. I think it was my sweet potatoes. I mix it up with some pineapple and brown sugar. But John Moore is a shaman. Is that how you say that?
Shaman.
Trish? Shamanic practitioner. Okay.
John, where's Tara at? She knows about that.
And teacher who works spiritually with conscious professionals to live fuller, happier lives, in touch with their true purpose. After 2 decades of working in the technology sector, John turned to humankind's oldest spiritual practice, shaman. To heal himself during a personal crisis, John believes we interconnect with everything and everyone through a unique spark of dignity inside each of us. We co-create our reality. I love co-creating. John has written a column on the intersection of spirituality and men's health for the Good Men Project. He also appears in a weekly radio spot interpreting the dreams of listeners. Oh, this is going to be good. Listen, he's going to have to do our crazy dreams. And hosts his podcast. John completely years of shamanic and apprenticeship, advanced initiations, and teacher training. He holds a master's degree in human and information technology and an MBA and a BA in mass communication. He is a 3rd degree black belt and a certified hypnotherapist and a meditation instructor. So we're going to go ahead and welcome John. Welcome to Chasing Prophecy, John. Very impressive bio there.
Are you going
Resume.
to take that thing off the middle of the
Yes,
screen?
I am, sweetheart. I only have two hands.
Hey, welcome to Torture Tuesday.
Hey, welcome, buddy.
Thank you. Nice to be here. I appreciate it.
You won't be saying that in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on the show. Well, first off, I want to welcome you to the show. And I read your one on your website. Very impressive, very interesting. So first of all, for people who don't know what that is, and I'm how do you pronounce that? Go ahead.
Shamanism.
Shamanism. Now, how does that actually work? And echo somewhere. I'm not sure where it's coming from. But how does that work, and what exactly is it?
Yeah, so shamanism is kind of a spiritual worldview combined with some really old spiritual techniques that we think go back at least to the Paleolithic era. We have cave paintings depicting people doing shamanic things from 30,000 years ago. And so the way that we work, if you're a shamanic practitioner, and there are shamanic practitioners in every culture all over the world, it's something that's fairly universal, is that we use altered states of consciousness to access spiritual realities and we work with helping spirits. We do lots of different things, which could be healing. We could be helping people with information. Obviously, I teach shamanism as well. I almost had a hard time pronouncing it myself. So I teach as well. Yeah.
You're funny.
So what got you into being a shamanism?
We're all drinking tonight.
Yeah. What got you into it?
Yeah, so I in my early 40s, I went through a little bit of a personal crisis. I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I was having a hard time, having a very difficult time, as many people do, who have been through some serious trauma. And I've long been a very spiritual person. I meditate. I've done obviously martial arts my whole life, and very interested in personal development. And one day I was meditating, and I heard a really audible, loud voice that did not sound like it was inside my head say, "You need to go learn shamanism." And I knew nothing about it. I knew zero about shamanism. And I live in Maine, right up in the northeast of the US. And I'm like, well, I don't live in Peru or Mongolia or Siberia. How is that going to work? And as it turns out, there's a huge shamanic community here in the state of Maine, and some of the best, widest regarded teachers in the world are here. So it worked out, and I have, and I got into it only for my own purposes, to work on myself, and things led to other things, and now I work with people as clients. I work with people as students, and really enjoy sharing what I've learned and what I've gone through as well.
Cool. So, go Trish.
Me?
Yeah, you.
So I also have, I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I started doing these things. I just turned 40 this year, but I would say a few years ago, and I've kind of been on this journey all my life. I grew up in southwestern New Mexico, and I was around a lot of the ancient, native burial grounds, a lot of the cliff dwellings, all of those things on the Arizona border and in the middle of the forest. And it just kind of, shamanism is something that I've recently delved into because I kind of was drawn to it naturally. So it's really interesting to me to hear other people's perspectives of how, and stories, how they started on those journeys. It's interesting you mentioned going back to the paleo period. of shamanic origins. I just learned this maybe a week or two ago, when a lot of people in Kansas, it's hunting season. And I actually went on kind of a spiritual nature retreat for a few days during this last full moon. And I kept seeing paleo. Well, I have eaten a paleo diet for quite a long time after I got Lyme disease. And, people have always told me that many healers get immune suppressant diseases because that's part of them not knowing their purpose and blocking it and everything. But I learned that some of the original, where I came from, the Paleo Indians of the American Southwest date back 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. And that's right where I grew up. I'm like, well, maybe that's part of my own lineage, my own ancestors, or even one of my past lives, and why I've always been so drawn to that. So it's interesting then.
Yeah, I personally believe that we all have shamanic people in our family tree because it's such a widespread practice. We see it everywhere. We see it obviously in the Americas, in the Southwest is a good example, but South and Central America, we see it throughout Asia, Southeast Asia, Korea, Japan, China, Siberia, Mongolia. There's shamanic practices in Africa. Australia, which is the oldest continuous human culture, right? Something like 70,000 years. We don't even know, but something like 70,000 years. They're a shamanic culture. So even if your ancestors are, like most of my ancestors from Western Europe, they were at one point shamanic people. And, the Druids were shamanic, and the Celts had, there is Celtic shamanism, which I'm not an expert in, but they're people to this day still practice. So, yeah, it is everyone's background in my experience. I can't think of a culture that didn't have shamanic people in its past. So, and we're all descended. We're all cousins, we're all brothers and sisters, and we're all descended from the same people. And if we, there's a statistic recently, and I'm going off on a little tangent, I apologize, but if you went back to like the era of Constantine, we would all have something like 200 trillion ancestors, which isn't numerically possible unless cousins intermarried. So we have lots and lots of so we're all really, really, really related is what I'm saying, is that even, our past ancestry, even if wherever you were from. So I'm, all my ancestors are most of them are from Western Europe, but when I check my DNA, they're all from Scandinavia. So they were all Vikings who came into Western Europe and settled in there. So yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for people out there that don't really know about shamanism, like such as myself, do you have like any advice for somebody that's like, oh, you know what, I think I might be interested in checking this out? Is there classes? Do you have to like graduate, like do's and don'ts? Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah. So the nice thing about sort of modern shamanism is you can go out and take an intro class, right? You can read a book about shamanism. In the past, you would have to like get hit by lightning or something, and then the tribe would take you and train you for 10 years. That's not a path I recommend. Stay out of the lightning. It's although my teacher's teacher has been hit by lightning multiple times.
I was going to say, I've
Did he play the lottery afterwards?
It was she. I don't know. Maybe.
I've been electrocuted, lightning, all that.
Yeah, and that's really common. And talking about Lyme disease, I know lots of practitioners who came to shamanism from having chronic Lyme disease, or really, I know people have had near-death experiences from Lyme, and we call that shamanic crisis. There's like a health crisis you go through that pushes you on the path. But if you're interested in learning more, you can, there's tons of resources out there to look it up. And, it's not a path for everybody. It's not an easy path. It's not something like, I'm going to try karate out for a week, but you can go take a weekend class and learn some of the basic practices and decide if it's something if it's a path you want to jump into with both feet, or, if it's kind of not for you. It's a little harrowing. I almost quit my very first day of my apprenticeship, which thank goodness I didn't, but I've been doing this for many, many years after that. So, pulled myself up by my bootstraps and kept going.
Now, see, for me, like when I first got into like the ghost business,
how many years ago, Sean?
Oh, many, 30.
Oh,
and but one time, and it was crazy. I walked into a bookstore, okay, and it was a metaphysical bookstore. And I was looking at books, and this book literally jumped off the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Black Elk.
Oh, yeah.
Lakota Sioux Shaman.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, okay, I need to get this. And so I went home, read it, could not put it down. Could not. And from that time on, studying Black Elk, okay, and the Lakota Sioux, religion and their spirituality. At one time, when I would meditate myself, I would meet, Black Elk. And then I've learned, so I understand completely. But here's the way I look at it. If you're supposed to be, directed into the shamanism, I think spirit leads you. I don't think you have that choice, because I know I didn't have a choice. Spirit said, you're going to go do this and this and this. So I believe that if spirit wants Jason to be a shaman, then Jason would make that adjustment,
right?
And not realizing what's happening.
That's
the way I look at it.
Like with the Lyme disease and stuff, that's said to be when shamans aren't answering their calling in life. They continue with these illnesses and stuff until they finally get, and that's exactly what happened with me. I was pretty much dying. I had heart attack after heart attack and strokes and all these other things until I did my shadow work and started, getting through all of those blockages and stuff. And now the Lyme disease doesn't affect me as much, but the older I got, it's like this. I was ignoring this, I was ignoring those signs, and I didn't have a choice,
Right. So I have this working theory that I call a slap in the face from the universe with a wet fish. So
that's a good description.
Right. So it's just as you described, Sean. It's the spirit is turning up the volume. They're sending you signals and turning up the volume. Little by little. Okay, I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that. And if you've ever read anything about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, right, which is Star Wars is based on that, and Dune is based on that, and Gilgamesh is all of these old and new things are based on it. There's always a call to action that the hero ignores in the beginning, right? And then something happens that they can't ignore. In Star Wars, Luke's aunt and uncle get killed by stormtroopers, right? And so there's always this call to action that gets ignored, and then the spirit turns it up. And the hero's journey is actually an allegory for shamanic initiation, which some people don't realize. But if you follow what the hero's journey is, all of these stories from time immemorial are basically describing the process of shamanic initiation.
That's an inner voice.
Yeah. And we ignore that, but the spirit will turn up the volume until it has to slap you in the face with a wet fish.
That's how I write all my books, The Hero's Journey.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still a little confused. Like, how? Like you said that you trained to do this. I mean, so if you have an inner voice that somebody's telling you to do something, like years ago, I was going through a rough time, like a depression, when my brother died, and I went out into my garden, and I, as a Catholic, I would do the rosary, okay, And it was all of a sudden after I did the rosary, after I just sat there and was meditating, I heard an inner voice, like you said, and it said, make a garden. Now, would that be something like that? Or is that like a spirit like telling me to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you know that's your calling if you want to do something like, I know what I used to meditate doing Edgar Casey meditation where I would heal. I would use the white light and it would, so I know somebody that was ill and I would take my light and wrap it around them to heal them. Is that something like, is that sort of like charm or not?
Yeah, it's definitely there are parts of Edgar Casey's work where he always worked in an altered state, which is very much the way that shamans work. I use drumming or rattles or I use sound to alter my state of consciousness. Some shamans use dance, and some famously take things like psilocybin or magic. Which are magic mushrooms. I don't particularly do that, but that's the sort of thing where once you buy the ticket, you're going for the ride, whether you want to or not.
There is no turning back.
There is no turning back.
You cannot unsee what you've seen.
Right.
So your shaman healing, is that the same thing? Like, is that what you do? Is when you do it to heal people?
Yeah, so I do work with clients, and most of them are coming to me for some sort of healing. It could be emotional or something on the physical level, and shamanism addresses sort of some of the underlying spiritual roots of illness or disease. So I look at humans as these multi-layered beings, right? We have a physical body, we have a spiritual body, but that's made up of many, many parts, right? We have the etheric double, which shows up like the aura, if people can see auras. And this is the energy body that people work on with acupuncture or Tai Chi or, energy healing, Reiki, that sort of thing. Shamanic healing does work at that level, and it also works at this kind of deeper level, which is the soul, what we call the soul body or the astral body, which is a little subtler than the energy body. And one of the major ways that, one of the technologies, for lack of a better term, that shamans have is called soul retrieval. And that is a treatment for trauma. And shamans forever have had to help people through traumatic experiences, recovering from trauma. And this was my own path into shamanism. And, I did it. I did it for my own healing, but Spirit said, no, this is your path now. This is what you're doing now. You don't really have a choice. And so that, to me, was my indicator that I was on the right path, because I wouldn't have, nobody's going to, it's sort of like martial arts. Like, I trained in martial arts my whole life, right? And I see a lot of people, they'll sign up for a week, they'll come to classes for a week and they'll never come back, right? But some people stick with it for the rest of their lives. And there's like a calling for that. And the people that drop out, that's fine. It's just not their thing. And it's the same thing with meditation or shamanic healing or what have you. If it's your path, you're going to know, and the universe is going to kind of push you onto your path.
You're going to stay doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with me right now, like I told you guys that I was in the business for 30 years and I work with spirit a lot. In fact, that's all I do. And I mean, there was a couple of times where I wanted to be a human being. You know what I mean? I wanted to be human, which what means is that I didn't want to do this ghost stuff. I didn't want to work with spirit. I wanted to go out and be a regular human, be a regular Sean Kelly. But you know what? Come to find out, spirit would not let it happen. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how far I went off the path to do something that I wanted to do, being normal, he always would throw shit in my face, and then I end up coming back. And I said, okay, boom.
So
sounds like me, keto.
In shamanism, how do you deal with, like, what do you think about like modern medicines, being the shaman and practicing healing? What's like your viewpoints on modern medicine practices?
Yeah, I think people should take advantage of everything they possibly can, right? And so if if somebody were to come to me with a broken arm, for example, I'd be like, well, go get your arm set and then come back to me, and then we're going to work on creating some spiritual conditions under which your arm can mend better. So I don't. I utilize modern medicine. It like everything, it has its pluses and minuses. But I always urge people who work with me. I'm like, even if you feel fantastic after a session with me, don't stop taking your meds without talking to your doctor, right? Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
That would be bad. Sometimes there is what we might consider what I think everything is a miracle. I think the fact that we can observe the universe and create our entire experience of the universe and our consciousness is a miracle. It just happens to be an everyday miracle. But sometimes a miraculous healing takes place, meaning sometimes people have symptoms go away immediately. And sometimes it takes time. Sometimes with shamanic work, because it's working at a really deep level, it can take a number of weeks after a session or multiple sessions or something. But if people do have that like really great feeling afterwards, we don't 100% know if that's just placebo effect yet, the feeling, the lack of symptoms, or if we've created some conditions. And really the way I describe it is I'm helping you create the conditions under which your body can heal itself, right? I'm not healing you. I'm acting as a channel. I'm getting out of the way and allowing the spirits that work through me to work with you to help create the conditions, the spiritual conditions for your body, because your body's really wise. That's another miracle, right? We have these amazing things that I don't know how to heal I've had a broken arm. I don't know how to heal a broken arm. My body knows how to heal a broken arm, right? I don't know how to kick a cold out of my body, but my body does. So there's so much innate wisdom in ourselves, and sometimes there's really spiritual roots to healing, and that is especially true for emotional wounding. Emotional wounding happens, particularly trauma, happens at a very deep spiritual level. It's held in the body, but it's on multiple levels.
So I got another one.
DNA almost.
What would your approach be for, like, say, people that have like Hashimoto's kind of thing? Like, is there certain practices for stuff like that?
So,
keto.
Yeah, Hashimoto's that's genetic, right? I don't know that much
it's an
about it.
autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
Autoimmune. Yeah, I mean, so my approach to everyone is basically the same. If somebody comes to me for healing, I do a combination of things. I have a number of, not tricks, but a number of sort of ceremonies that I could do, a number of rituals, a number of practices that I could do. And I rely on the spirits that I work with. I have helping spirits that tell me, this is the thing that you're going to do that's going to most help this person today. And then I just do that. And most of the time that's getting, it's talking with the person and getting out of the way and allowing the spirits to help that person out. I've never worked with somebody on Hashimoto's, but I've worked with people with all kinds of other things going on.
Since we're talking about health issues, and today one of the biggest headlines was that the courts, the judge overruled Biden's mandate on vaccines, at least for healthcare workers all across the nation. Now, with someone who's working with healing and shaman, what are your views on like a vaccine that goes into your body? Do you think it's better to try to build your body up using spiritual healing before doing something like putting a foreign substance in your body? I know you said about not ignoring modern medicine, but going back to ancient times, they didn't have vaccines. So how do you feel?
Sure. Well, vaccines have been around for a few hundred years, like before really modern medicine. the word vaccine comes from vaca or cow. It's when, we figured out that the milkmaids weren't getting smallpox because they were getting cowpox, right? Which inoculated them against,
milk.
right. And because they were milking the cows, getting cowpox, which isn't dangerous. And that gave them immunity from smallpox. And George Washington and Catherine the Great were sort of pro-vaccine. I personally am vaccinated. I do believe in body autonomy. I believe that people should make their own choices based on the best information that they can get. I am very scientifically minded. I have come from a scientific background, and I trust. I have, and interestingly, I've done some pretty advanced trainings in shamanism, and when I got up there into these more advanced initiations and trainings, a lot of my cohort were doctors. They were physicians, modern, I've had, everyone from anesthesiologists, surgeons, whatever in my training cohort. Now, these aren't people who are out practicing shamanism with clients, but they are really combining that integrative, and integrative medicine is actually a field of study these days for doctors. They can study these complementary therapies. So,
you appreciate it, like you don't use just natural healings like smudging yourself and taking minerals and like roots, like natural healing.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I do all of those things.
So you're integrating modern medicine with
take advantage of modern medicine too. Like you said before, get as much as you can.
Right. Why not do everything? It's like if you have a car, right? There's the expression firing on all cylinders. You've got 6 cylinders of your car, right? You've got the mind, body, spirit, and all the different layers of spirit. If you're working on just one of those cylinders and 3 of them aren't working, your car's not going to work very well, right? So you want to fire on all cylinders. You want to take care of everything. So we take care of the physical, and modern medicine happens to be very good at that. I, for a long time saw a naturopathic doctor because I do appreciate natural approaches to healing. And unfortunately, she moved to Africa. But yeah, I would take supplements and I do believe in taking care of yourself, like taking your vitamins, have physical fitness and that sort of thing. And
definitely you have to have a healthy body. With the healthy mind, you gotta integrate physical activity.
This is all good points. This is like real good points. You figure you exercise, you take meds, you take vitamins. You just do as much as you can. It all makes perfect sense, honestly. Using the modern medicine with natural stuff. It's a no-brainer to me.
And we like to stick things in boxes, right? We like to think that our body is different than our mind, is different than our spirit. And the definitions between those are really blurry, really, really blurry. Like, where does your body stop and your mind begin? And where does your mind stop and your spirit begin? Nobody can point to that. Nobody knows where consciousness comes from. Nobody, you can say that, okay, if we shut the brain off, consciousness kind of goes away, but you can't point to cells in the brain and say, this is where the subjective experience of life that we are all having comes from. It can't. Science can't do that. So, taking care of yourself on all of these levels, taking care of your body is also taking care of your mind. Taking care of your mind is also taking care of your body. And so doing all of those things and taking all of those approaches, as we've been talking about, I think is a really great it's a really great idea. We have stuff. You might as well use use the things that people have been working on for a really long time. And, and modern medicine, it happens to be one of those.
Yeah.
All right, Trish, you're up.
Do you believe in the quantum healing aspect of what you do? Isn't that a sort of type of quantum healing?
Yes. In fact, a colleague of my teacher, so somebody who's a generation ahead of me, did some seminal research recently, PhD research that's been published, where she was doing shamanic healing with people and hooking them up to EEGs, to quantum EEGs, and there's entanglement going on. And there's a big study that just came out where they did, over 500 shamanic practitioners, hooked them up to EEGs and hooked their clients up to EEGs, and they were their brainwave states were completely unique, very close to what people are doing when they're on psilocybin, but still somewhat unique. And their clients were going into the same state of consciousness, even though they were not shamanic practitioners. So there's entrainment that's happening there, which I think is happening on the quantum level. And I think consciousness is quantum as well, because it's non-local, right? It's not just in your brain. We feel like it's in our brain, but consciousness is everywhere.
Collective.
Yeah, for sure.
What were you going to say, Trish?
Yep.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask, I know, do you find that it's kind of a struggle with modern technology nowadays? I know, for example, with myself, I live in the city now, in the middle of the city, whereas which is very hard for me, it's temporary. Not that I can't do it, but I lived, out in the country for forever. But do you find it hard with all the, Wi-Fi and 5G and power grids and all of that? I find it very, very much a struggle, more so now than ever before, to kind of overcome that, to help others, because I have to keep myself
Right.
well to help others. So.
Right. Absolutely. And it's the whole airplane analogy, right? You have to put your mask on before you help anybody else with theirs.
Right.
So if you don't keep yourself healthy, you're not going to be able to do that. I live in the country for the same reasons I lived in Boston for 20 years. And, apart from just the environmental pollution, which includes electromagnetic pollution and toxic waste dumps that I was surrounded by and all kinds of stuff, there's this energetic stuff that's going on, and people just aren't as happy in the city as they are outside the city. Yes. And we're all like, some people call themselves empaths, but we're all empathic. You walk into a room with somebody who's in a terrible mood, and you're going to start to pick up that mood. Now, multiply that by 1.5 million people that are, living 5 miles away from you. And that for me was really, I had to get out. Had to leave the city.
I have to.
I was in the same boat.
Yeah.
I have to go out in the country near a lake, forest, water.
Oh, yeah, grounding.
When I first moved here, I thought I was going to go crazy. Every night I would see, especially being clairvoyant, clairsentient, and audience stuff. I would literally see, hear all the sirens. I would see car accidents before they happen, see people shooting up, things like that, drug deals, and I couldn't. I'm like,
I'd go crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to live just outside of Pittsburgh. For 11 years, and then I moved out to like suburban areas. There's people out here, but it's not anywhere near. And I tell you what, just coming out here, just the air when we first moved here was just so fresh. I was like, wow, just the air is fresh, and people were a lot nicer and less traffic, and it was just more calming, rather than just tense and seeing so many angry people all day, every day in Pittsburgh. It was just,
Absolutely, and for anybody who has kids, I'm a dad, and I've got teenage daughters, which is enough stress on its own. But
I got an 18-month-old son.
Oh well, you got a ways to go. But
yeah,
anybody who has kids, I cannot recommend enough taking them camping, particularly in today's day and age, where the kids are on the phones all day, or they're on the video games, or they're on the internet and all of these things. And just the attention and being constantly bombarded with messages, lots of which aren't so great. I've seen kids just transform almost instantly, stepping out into nature, just in awe and amazement. I'm lucky to live where I live, that, that's my backyard. My backyard is like that. And, but taking my daughters camping was an amazing, has been an amazing experience. And my family used to camp when I was a boy, and it was something that, I'm much older. There was no internet. There was nothing like that back then. But even that, like, it's something that I really appreciate. And we tend to think of ourselves, because we live in houses or we live in cities or apartments or whatever, we tend to think of ourselves as apart from nature, but we're not. We're a part of nature. We're not any different than the squirrels or the monkeys or the what have you. We're animals. We lived in trees not that long ago. A really short period of time ago, we lived in trees and caves. So, stepping out into the forest, and I have a good friend who is a mindful forest guide. She leads people on mindful walks through the trees. And there's great research about even breathing the air around trees. Pine trees, the chemicals they give off have antimicrobial properties. So walk through a pine forest, for your health. It's one of the best things you can do. And Jenny, you mentioned grounding. Grounding is so important. Touch the earth. Walk. I mean, it's really cold here right now. I don't walk barefoot too much, but when the weather's nice, I
have grounding shoes, and I have a grounding mat that I sleep with.
Yeah, the grounding mat. Yes.
And I have a do you know
the lobster up there?
For your cell phone, it's a EMF sleeve that I put in my. So I keep this.
The lobster is fantastic, by the way.
Yes.
And interestingly, a good friend of mine that I've known since elementary school runs a lobster business here, and one of his lobstermen caught I think they said 100 million to 1 rare lobster. It was called a cotton candy lobster. It's blue and pink. It was on national news and all kinds of stuff. I don't know where it went. I think it was going to an aquarium. They're like, we're not going to cook and eat this thing.
No, I hope not.
I wonder if it tastes like cotton candy.
I don't know, but they're apparently 1 out of every 100 million lobsters, something like that. So pretty cool little thing that happened.
Yeah, that's cool to catch that, because I've seen like pictures of like all blue ones and just rare colors. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I could go for some lobster right about now.
now I'm hungry.
Some surf and turf. Flaming on a lobster.
Yeah.
So I watched the Maine Cabin Masters, that TV show.
Right.
It is so beautiful up in Maine. That's on my bucket list, just to get up there. And just...
How cold does it get up there?
I mean, it gets cold. It's we're in the Northeast. We're right next to Canada, and Maine doesn't seem like it, but it's the largest size-wise state in New England, right? So where I live, I can drive 5 hours north and still be in Maine. So up there, it's way colder than it is down here. And there's lots of climates. You can be near the ocean, which tends to be a little bit warmer, and inland than obviously the mountains get lots of snow. The coldest I've ever been here, I think was like negative 30, something like that. But that is so rare. That's like a once in a lifetime.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh, that would be amazing. I'd love it.
Well, in Pennsylvania, New York. So
down here in Pennsylvania, there's a lot of days where we have all 4 seasons in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. Same for sure here. We can have snow. We can have snow into May sometimes, and before Halloween, so we can get snow, or it could be 100 degrees. We don't know. You never know what it's going to be like.
John, let's talk about your dreams. When you were talking about you can interpret people's dreams. Trish had an odd dream. Maybe you could talk about that, Trish.
Yes. I have crossed, I guess, spirit animals cross my path, or I cross their path, one or the other, every day, and I pay attention to that. But in my dream, it was either a hawk or a falcon that was injured, and I kept helping it fly away, and like I would nurse it back to health and fix its wing, and it would fly away, and then it would get injured again and come back. But now, in hindsight, talking to you about the universe, continually, if you don't listen or follow your path, those things are going to continue to happen over and over. And we relive cycles over and over and over.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably I'm not learning a lesson.
See, I don't have to do anything. You've interpreted that for
but,
me.
So
yeah.
She had mentioned Falcon and NASA intercepting the asteroid. So I thought that was interesting, because a lot of times, obviously, with my beliefs, as above, so below, even things in my personal life, there's something symbolic in my personal life. There's something symbolic in my own city. There's something symbolic nationally, universally. There's always something greater than just within myself or pertaining to my own life. So that was the second thought I had, was because one of those, the Falcon 9 or whatever it was called, was it broken or something happened to it while trying to intercept one of those asteroids? I don't remember. But I thought that was interesting, because that would be one of the symbolic, universal, I guess. Maybe.
So,
I don't know.
So I got a on dream interpretation. I'm curious to see your standpoint on this one, John. My wife had these dreams before of, we're trying to decipher it still exactly to figure this out.
Okay.
These creatures that are in the woods, particularly like next to the house, and they are super angry that she could see them. And we have yet to figure this out. She actually drew them. She was able to actually draw them on paper.
Yeah.
And we're still, I'm confused. She doesn't quite understand it either, and we want to see what's your standpoint on this.
Yep. So the world is a really crowded place, and there are lots of what I would call non-human people around. Some people might call them nature spirits, or there are a million names. That every culture has little people, right? The leprechauns, fairies. In West Africa, they have the Kontomble. In Hawaii, they have the Menehune. They're all little spiritual people that live in nature. They're nature spirits. Sometimes they get they're really tied to location, right? So these are spirits not like if you pray to God, or you pray to an angel or what have you, that are sort of everywhere. These are spirits that are really specifically tied to location and really specifically tied to nature areas. My guess is that your wife is particularly sensitive to one group or type of nature spirits that are definitely in your area. If you, Trisha's clairvoyant, I'm guessing you can probably see nature spirits all the time. When I journey, I'm like, wow, it's crowded in my house.
Oh gosh, it's crowded everywhere.
It's crowded everywhere. It's like Grand Central Station everywhere you are. But some, they might be angry or confused that she can see them when she's probably journeying when she dreams. She's probably outside of her body. They're probably like, oh, you're not supposed to be able to see us. And we're just hanging out here. We don't want you to mess with us. It's a really good idea to enter into a good relationship with spirits of place, particularly in where you live. So, it would be a good idea to leave offerings, and offerings are anything. I like to leave things that the animals in the area will eat. So like seeds, nuts, fruit, that kind of thing. Nothing toxic or that's going to harm them, because the animals are going to eat it. But as an offering, it's like a gesture of goodwill. It's like, here, we're occupying the same space. I don't mean you any harm. Yes, I can see you when I'm asleep, but I'm not going to come in here and bulldoze your home and burn down the forest or what have you. But you have to figure, as much damage as we humans have done to the earth, you could understand why some of these beings who are in really close connection with nature, why they might be a little wary, or might even be angry at humans encroaching on their territory. So my recommendation would be I actually have an outdoor altar, and I leave things to nature spirits in the area. But leave offerings. She can talk to them when she's outside. If she doesn't feel like people are going to think she's crazy when she's talking, what looks like she's talking to herself when she's outside. But,
I ask for permission a lot of times, especially if it's somewhere, that's different because it's your own backyard. But if I'm going into a forest and see certain nature spirits, I'll ask their permission to be there, or sometimes they even interact. If I'm with a group of people, it might just be one person that they don't want for whatever reason. Maybe their energy, maybe their, so. And as far as offerings go, a word of advice: don't just give like your rotten fruit and stuff. They'll take it.
Oh yeah. No.
I actually got a story about some offerings. So Sean can attest to this one. So the woods next to our house are very haunted. Okay. There's Indian burial grounds up there somewhere. We've had spirits follow, we're paranormal investigators. We've had spirits actually follow from the woods and all this stuff, caught apparitions there on camera. Well, we actually made offerings to the Indian spirits in the past. And what we did was, ask them to help protect our property line from whatever was coming over and, terrorizing and stuff. So I took up like some tobacco and some oranges. Yep. I scattered them all over, just talking to them like normal and, asking to please, watch our property. So that was a late fall. This is just a couple years ago. Now come springtime. Okay. So we're talking 6-7 months later, and there's lots of animals too, by the way, obviously the woods, there's animals everywhere. Well, 6-7 months later, I was up there walking around, all the oranges that we put out were still in the same place, were not rotted, nothing. Like they were just totally like untouched. It just blew my mind, and I'm wondering if, there's the nature spirits that you're talking about could be over there too, because these woods are very haunted,
Yeah, they are very haunted.
Yeah. There are nature spirits. There are nature spirits everywhere. Even in the city, there are nature spirits. And I had, kind of a little bit of a funny story about that. One of my very first experience with nature spirits, I was training in Boston martial arts. I was down in a basement dojo with training with a partner. My teacher was in another room, and all of a sudden I see about a 3 foot tall little green man run through the room and run right through the back wall. He looked solid. He was in a hurry. Went right through the back wall. And I thought I'm losing my mind. And my friend who I'm working out with turns to me and goes, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Well, what did you see?" And then we both described the same thing. And then a couple minutes later, my teacher comes in the room and says, "What happened to your little friend that just ran through here?" So he had seen it from the other room. So all three of us had seen the same thing. And that's, now I know what that is now. I had no idea back then. This was many, many years ago.
Did he have a box of Lucky Charms?
He did not. But
no, I'm just kidding.
He did kind of. He was wearing clothes, and he was greenish. Like he had sort of a greenish hue to him when I saw him, and I was not in an altered state at that point.
Well, no. Well, to think about it,
if multiple people
doing your Tojo stuff, there's a lot of energy that's put out when you all do that. Correct?
Right. Yes, absolutely.
So this little green dude, man, was just like feeding off that stuff. We knew he's been busted by your teacher, right?
Right.
So he's like trying to get the hell out of it.
Yeah. Just like in the paranormal world, ghosts, they feed off of our energy and equipment. We've had equipment batteries just die instantly, so they're feeding off us and equipment. So it makes sense, with whatever that was.
I have had so much electrical and mechanical stuff go wrong.
Amen.
During training, I had the transmission. I had almost new transmission go out in my car. My radio tuned itself to a different station when I was driving back from a training weekend one time, and I was married at the time. I'm no longer married, but my former wife was like, "Would you stop bringing people home with you from training?" Because she would wake up in the middle of the night and there would be somebody standing over the bed just watching us sleep. And I was like, "I'm sorry, I can't help that." We're doing this work, and like we're putting off all this energy, and these spirits are like, oh, I'm gonna follow that guy. So yeah, I've had stuff move in front of a room of 20 people. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Well, I like to share this story, and I've shared it many times on the show, but you haven't heard it yet, so I'm going to share it to you. All right. When I divorced from my wife, I was living over in Pleasant Hills, and it was an apartment complex, and they had like big, where you plant fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. Garden,
community
right?
garden, yeah.
So I told, go ahead, hey, listen, I don't know, I'm intrigued with you. I am, and that's hard to do. But I was out there in April with my son, okay, and all of a sudden I just saw all these little bright sprites go flying around. You know?
Yeah.
It was like, am I high or what? And my son saw them too. So the next, it was too early for lightning bugs, right? Okay. Now, what happened was the next morning I went back out there again, right? And there was a fairy ring of mushrooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, that is so cool. And then I knew, so that's my story.
Yeah.
Until next week.
It's that's such it's a good experience. It's a good story. It's like stuff like that happens. It's why in the British Isles they have what's called the fairy faith. There are people to this day that still leave offerings for the fairies, and they're what they call cunning folk who work with the fairies and have for forever, for that sort of thing.
They're protected by the government there.
Yeah, and in Scandinavia and in places like Iceland and other places in Scandinavia, elves and trolls and things like that are also protected. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and my working theory, which seems to be true, is that we live in this physical world, and it's like I'm old enough to remember overhead projectors, like in school.
Yes,
we didn't have video monitors, right? And they had plastic sheets, or the old books where you had like the anatomy books where you would have like the muscles, and you'd pull the plastic sheet over, and there would be the skeleton underneath that. So we live in this world that's like a plastic sheet on top of many, many levels of plastic sheets, right? The physical world is either the top or the bottom, depending on how you look at it. And there are these other layers, and this is where these other beings sort of reside. But it's not a pure separation. And some of them live very, very close to the physical world. Nature spirits and ghosts, if I guess live, it may not be the right term for that, but these spirits exist on this level that's really, really close to the physical world. Sometimes sometimes we can peer over into the other plastic sheet, and sometimes they can they can bleed through, and that's, you can photograph them or record them or experience them in a garden, that sort of thing. And once it starts happening to you, as I'm sure all of you have experienced, it doesn't stop. There's something to that, something to be tuned in and able to perceive these things where they perceive you back and they show up for you.
What's really cool is when they trust you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they can trust you. And what's really crazy is, I'm not saying that I was attacked or nothing like that, but there wasn't no happy. There were a lot of mean little people hanging around, and all the little good people were helping me out with the little bad people.
Yeah. So they're different. I don't know what the right term, species or races of spirits. I don't have a better word for it, but
so many different.
They come in all different shapes and sizes.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen spirits that look like cross between a tree and a person, and spirits that look like the classical Tinkerbell style fairy with the wings and the that sort of thing, and the little green dude, the little chubby green dude with the hat and clothes that ran through dojo when I was training. So they do come in all shapes, sizes, and temperaments. And I do like to call them non-human people because they all have personalities that just as we do, just as different dogs have different personalities, right?
Right, exactly.
Somebody got me last year a book. I was trying to find it, and it's a mythological creatures Bible. And it actually, I started looking through this. I'm like, and it describes everyone, every known creature, that's documented, where they originated, where they're from, what they look like. And I was reading through this, and I'm like, oh, that that makes sense. I've seen that one. I've seen that. But it actually gives me a lot more information about the different personalities, the different characteristics. Things like that. And it's funny, we were talking about they have to, Sean, you're saying they have to gain your or you have to gain their trust.
Mm-hmm.
My ex-husband was in the military, and we moved around a lot. So different houses I would move to, rental houses and things like that. It would be a few months before, everything they would kind of play tricks on me. Things would move everything, remotes and car keys and phones and glasses and you name it. Put something in front of me to trip me, and it wasn't normal spirits. It was absolutely the house fairies and things like that. Until we got on common ground and they realized that we're going to share this space.
Right.
I'm not going to harm you.
You know what? As long as you make
it, take your stuff, and I'll leave you something when I cook. So
yes, as long as you make a deal with them, they're pretty cool with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's really important to note that with any spiritual being that you make a deal with, never break the deal.
Oh yeah.
That is, there are so many bad stories about that. That's a really bad idea, but. The deal's, you don't have to sell your soul. Leaving an offering is not, not that. And leaving out food when you cook, food is a great offering. The spirits can take, because there's a spiritual component to everything, they can take nourishment, even though it's physical food. They can take nourishment from that. They can take energy from that they need to live. And certain spirits like certain things. There's a reason why we call alcohol spirits. And there are lots of traditional offerings around. I have an ancestral altar, and I pour rum for my ancestors pretty regularly, and they keep an eye on the house for me. But I also know not to keep my ancestral altar in my bedroom, because that's like Grand Central Station. Like, they'd be coming through my bedroom, waking me up all night long. So I keep it in the center of the house, where nobody sleeps, but it's near my dining room where they can enjoy a meal with us.
Well, my bedroom in my house is a ghost-free,
ghost-free zone.
They are not allowed to come in. They're not, and they don't. Believe it or not, they don't. Because it's like, okay, you can hang out there with my brother, my mom, do whatever you want there, but not in my room, because that's my sacred spot right there.
Yeah.
So maybe you can do that to your bedroom.
And you need your sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, even with pets, I've noticed my own pets, they're used to the ones that were already stable and older in my home. But I recently adopted a new cat, and they kind of interacted with each other, which he's a very old soul. So he didn't have a problem. But then right after that, about a week later, my daughter found a kitten that, she had to bring home, and they're like, whoa, this isn't, we don't know about this one. They mess with that one all the time. So
I had a weird dream a couple months ago, John. I'm still trying to kind of figure it out, getting different inputs from different people, because I'm not sure. So I was like asleep, but not like deep sleep, and my house is haunted too, by the way, just so we get that out there.
Sure.
But so I was laying there, and I heard what sounded like I would say probably like a 9 or 10-year-old girl's voice, just real loud, said, "Wake up, they're here now." And I jumped up, in bed and I'm looking around and I heard all this like creaking around on the floor and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out like, what's the meaning behind that? Who? I still can't figure it out.
So I think you were probably hearing a spirit, and she might not have even been talking to you. But especially if you heard the creaking around, there were probably a bunch of spirits, and somebody was wake up there, or maybe she was talking to you. Wake up! They're here now. Look. When you're kind of so when you're in that half sleep, half awake state, either when you're going into sleep or coming out of sleep, that's very, very close to what you would be doing when you were being hypnotized. Like the state of the brainwave state is very, very close to that. And normally you're also pretty close to REM sleep there as well. And so spiritually, you're really open. Spiritually, you're open to sort of pick things up, sounds, sights, feelings, sensations. So my feeling is, rather than a specific kind of meaning, it doesn't sound like it's a lot of dreams are metaphorical. So if you dream about a falcon, for example, that might be a metaphor for what's going on in your life. But this sounds to me like you were hearing spirits.
Okay.
So I think that's probably the case. And I don't know if they were ghosts or nature spirits or some combination thereof. Probably some form of ghost if they were speaking. Nature spirits don't all speak English. That's the other thing to remember about them. We tend to think, because we see in the movies, all the leprechauns and everybody speak English, but they have their own languages as well.
Yeah. I love leprechauns. I believe in leprechauns.
There was I had a nasty dream actually right around the same time as it. I think it was right before, like a day or two before that dream that I just talked to you about, where something, I don't remember what it was like choking me out real bad. Okay.
I remember
so
that.
I woke up and I like couldn't breathe. Like my face was buried in the pillow. And then I go to the restroom and I had like a red mark on my neck. Like if something was like choking me out. That freaked me out a bit.
Yeah. You might want to set some protection up in your bedroom.
That was a few months back.
Yeah.
It's been quiet since, but
if it continues, you might want to, there's some things you can do to set up some protection in your bedroom. If they keep interfering with your sleep or that sort of thing. But if you're getting marks on your body that are replicating things that are happening to you in your sleep, it might actually be some physical phenomena coming through.
That's the first time that's ever happened. Like
yeah, that can be shocking. I've been touched, pushed, and slapped by non-physical things before. It can be shocking until you get used to it. And then you're like, leave me alone, cut it out. I'm doing something.
Sometimes they do it in a loving manner, though, and that's
yeah.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Oh crap! No. Mm-mm. I figure it out like this: we're invading on their space, right? So we do not want you here. So I'm going to push you, kick you, bite you, scratch you, do whatever I can for you to get the hell out of here.
Sure. Yeah. There's that. And then there's sometimes it's just like a, hey, pay attention to me kind of thing as well. But when it's violent, it's definitely somebody who's ticked off.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I fully believe your house is haunted. That definitely sounds like a thing.
Oh man, I have so much evidence from here.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
He has the most haunted house in Pennsylvania.
I think your house was built on like a burial site. That's what I got from one of those videos one time. So or maybe where there was a battle or something where there was negative energy from that, and in order that will never change unless it's transmuted. So
yeah, it's pretty creepy up in the woods around here.
Yeah.
Much.
The other thing that can happen, and if you know anybody who does dowsing, they can douse for what's called geopathic stress, which is it's like boundaries of things that happen underground. So like, if there's an underground stream running under your house, it can create this real sort of energetic rift that stuff can kind of come through. And somebody who's good at dowsing can pick these things up, or somebody who practices shamanism could journey and on your property and pick these things up as well. And there are some things you can do about that if that is the case. If there's if that's one of the causes. Sometimes I do space clearing and house clearing and land clearing ceremonies when people are having trouble with paranormal phenomena, and I was asked to assist with a place that had been a brothel in the late 1800s on the seashore, and it was like in Journey and in Middle World reality, it was like staring into a tornado. There was so much bad stuff going on there. I'm like, I'll do what I can, but there's some stuff that needs to be corrected here. There was just so much going on, I think, between all the really bad energy that was there from the people that had been there, but there was also some geological stuff that was happening underneath as well.
Seems Jenny's having some problems here.
Yeah, she can't get back on again.
she got
so,
booted out.
You know what?
None of us have control of the show. We're out of control.
Yeah, this is like terrible Tuesday, man, not traumatic Tuesday.
Torture Tuesday. The gremlins are real.
Yeah, they are real.
Gremlins
are real.
Yeah.
But yeah. So a little side note, I just want to give you a Civil War fact here. Do you know why prostitutes were called hookers back in the 1800s?
Oh, here we go.
No, it's not. No,
was
seriously.
It? I don't know, but was it after General Hooker?
Yes, sir. He was a
lucky guess.
He would set up his office in brothels.
Well,
if he's going to go out, he's going to go out happy, right?
So what, John, is your goals from now? Where do you seeing yourself in the next 10 years?
Oh gosh, in the next 10 years. So, I'm really starting to teach more and more people from around the world and work with people from all over. I have clients in Norway and the west coast of Canada and all kind of things. So I'm really branching out, but I'm also trying to push a little bit of, there's some really traditional shamanic teachings, and I'm trying to bring some new things in as well. So I have a background, obviously, in martial arts, and I have a background in information security, and I have a background in shamanism. And so I'm actually I'm writing a book at the moment on called Shamanic Self-Defense. So it will be sort of a spirit. There are lots of books on spiritual self-defense, spiritual protection, psychic self-defense, but there are none from a shamanic standpoint.
That's
So I'm working on that. I'm working on probably turning that into a class as well. So that's sort of short term. 10 years down the line, I hope to sort of.
Oh, Jenny's back.
Welcome back.
Technical issues, tell you.
Wow. It's about that time.
Yep. Let's see. We're good for another 3 minutes, Jen.
Well, John, for anybody that wants to get a hold of you or learn more about what you do, can you let everybody know how to get a hold of you or websites or anything you have?
Yeah, my website is mainshaman.com. That's Maine, the state, M-A-I-N-E, shaman, SHAMAN.com. All my stuff's there. I've got, the Instagram and Facebook and YouTube channel and all that stuff. So, but the website's the one, you can go there and get everything. If you can't get enough of me, or you want to throw, or you have too much of me and you want to throw tomatoes at your monitor, you can do that too.
Hey, John, thank you for being on.
Yes,
the show
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great show.
And I'm going to friend you on Facebook.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Facebook.
Absolutely. It's been a real pleasure. I really enjoyed talking to all of you.
Good. I'm glad.
All right, buddy. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what happened. I think my connection to my mic is too loose. It keeps popping out, and then I couldn't get in at all.
As you say, none of us have control.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry
that
about
was
it.
a
It's
good
all
show.
good.
That was nice. John is very knowledgeable.
Very good.
Yes, he
It
was,
very,
man.
very
I'm excited
interesting.
to read his book coming out. That's something that's always
Yeah. I was impressed. I was impressed.
Yeah,
definitely. It was a good show. Well, you guys have any investigation coming up next week?
No, but we have our Christmas party coming up on December 18th.
Oh, where's that at?
Down there at Three Rivers Karting.
Down there
in that.
Where is that? Is that in Harmerville? Where is that?
That's down in Leedsdale.
Leedsdale.
Yeah, down on routes, down 65.
Up on the other side of Sewickley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Down around that area. Just good.
great.
Yeah, come on down, Jenny, and join us.
Yeah, Jenny, go down, ride some go-karts. They're fast too. They're electric. And once you get a little more experience, they crank the juice up a little bit. You can really tear around the track.
Yeah,
I'm a big guy, and they move. I'll tell you
They
that.
do move.
I was like, this thing ain't gonna go fast. I was like, holy smokes!
These carts are this small, and you got Guy Jankua sitting in one doing.
It's fun.
Yeah, I'd get whiplash.
All right, guys, it's 11:10.
Yeah. So thanks again for tuning in to Chasing Prophecy. We'll see you next
Thank you,
week.
everybody. Happy Torture Tuesday.
Have a great weekend coming up. All week and weekend. So
Yep.
okay, let me just find that. Oh, we don't have a. Oh, geez, I can never find. It's just there's just so many videos on here to try to find the ending. I can never find it. Oh well. Sorry about that, guys. One of these days, Jason and Sean's gonna have to take over the control because I can't manage to find. I can't find any. I cannot find the end. Well, here it is. Wait, we'll try this one.
Oh, here we go.